All right, we are back now with another free speech issue at an American university, but this one is a little different. The head of a Wisconsin university was terminated for making adult videos with his wife and posting them on the internet.
Chancellor ousted, he says, for making porn, goes national with his story and his fight for his job. This week, the University of Wisconsin System's Board of Regents fired La Crosse Chancellor Dr. Joe Gao. Gao says it happened once they learned he and his wife were producing and appearing in pornographic videos.
We got to talk about this one. So this is Joe Gao from Rochester, New York. Now, he has degrees in journalism and also a PhD in speech communication. So this is Dr. Joe. Now, in February 2007, he became the chancellor of La Crosse campus at Wisconsin University, a publicly owned school. Now, there are 13 campuses in the Wisconsin University system, and the chancellor is like the CEO of each individual campus. The big boss over all the campuses is called the university president. Now, in 2014, Joe married a professor named Carmen Wilson. Now, she's actually on the committee that selected Joe as chancellor. In 2015, Joe began making adult videos with his wife.
The now former chancellor was hired in 2007 and was the longest serving member in the university system.
Now, the couple got into this life. They started using the name Jerry and Jay Hart. They wrote 2 books, Monogamy with Benefits, How Porn Enriches Our Relationship, and another bestseller, Married with Benefits, Our Real Life Adult Industry Adventures. Now, in these books, they share their experiences in the adult entertainment industry.
You know, I should say that there are more than just videos. We have 2 books that we've written about our experiences. So this is not, kind of a sensationalistic project. It is something that we're really serious about. And we have had those books out for a number of years. We wrote them under different names, pen names, because we didn't want to draw any attention to the university or to my role there.
And he added that this adult film production, alongside the 2 books he and his wife, under pen names, wrote, are part of his academic work. So he claims academic freedom to do it and First Amendment rights.
This is all covered under the First Amendment, and that, we have the right to do this. And then if people want to say, well, you're the chancellor, I'd say, okay, well, then there's the Board of Regents' commitment to academic freedom and freedom of expression. So that would cover me. It states very clearly this applies to all employees.
Now think about how crazy this is. This is a university chancellor and his professor wife doing porn on the weekends. Now, on their Amazon profile, they even provided links to their videos on X and other pornographic websites. Now, Joe even brought his personal life into his professional life. In 2018, for instance, he invited adult film actor Nina Harley to speak at the University of Wisconsin. Now, he used $5,000 of university money to pay her, saying it was about free speech policies. However, later on, Joe gave back the $5,000 to the university.
Back in 2018, he invited a adult film actress, Nina Hartley, to speak on campus about the adult film industry. And it was part of a free speech week. And he thought it would, open people's minds to different perspectives. And the UW system did not respond well to that. They reprimanded him. They didn't give him a pay raise like all the other chancellors.
That actress didn't come, and Gao had to pay back the university the money he spent on hiring her.
In 2018, you paid $5,000 for an adult film star to come to campus and to speak to students. There was a controversy over that. You actually wound up reimbursing the university out of your own pocket because of that controversy, partly because it was student fees that you used. So you knew that this was potentially going to be an issue for you. It shouldn't have come as a surprise that the university decided to part ways.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because the 2018 experience, I was ultimately coerced into paying that money and to making something of an apology. And I found that very unpleasant. And so I did not want to do that again. And so this time around, I said, I'm not going to cave in to pressure from the regents. and going to do the right thing.
Now, in September 2023, Joe said that he would step down as chancellor after one more academic year. Now, he planned to become a regular professor, teaching classes and doing research.
Well, I was set to be a faculty member here, and I had announced at the beginning of the year, before all this controversy, that this is going to be my last year as chancellor. And so I'm excited about getting back into the classroom and teaching. I taught for 18 years before I was an administrator. But, you know, the university system is saying things like, well, we're going to investigate his tenure. And I really don't know what that means. That's pretty ominous. And I think we'll have to watch that very closely.
Now, things changed about a month later when Joe and Carmen began sharing adult videos on sites like Loyal Fans and OnlyFans, calling themselves the sex-happy couple.
Well, Chris, Dr. Joe Gao made adult films with his wife. They went on a YouTube channel called Sexy Healthy Cooking, and in them, he and his wife made vegan meals with adult film stars, and they also went on a pornographic website.
Chancellor for 17 years, Gao says he spent the last 10 years making pornographic content with his wife, posting it to various websites, and that a recent complaint led to his firing.
The Universities of Wisconsin Board of Regents voted to unanimously to fire Gao on Wednesday for creating and appearing in pornographic videos. Gao and his wife have also had an X account where they promote their loyal fans and OnlyFans sites. Now, the couple described their site as, quote, passionate, plant-powered, couple cooking, conversing, and shooting with top adult film stars. They have also written 2 books about their adventures in the adult film industry under the pen names Jerry and Jay Hart.
Now, there's even more to the story that we haven't even delved into. But before we get into the rest of the story, let me tell you about Ground News, where I initially found this story. Now, the things I love about Ground News, it really tells you how a story is being covered. Like the story that you're listening to now. It tells you how it's being covered from the left-wing sources, from the right-wing sources, and gives you a distribution of the biases. Now, why is this important? Well, you can see in the way the story is covered on the left and the right. For instance, on the right, they're more focused in on the First Amendment aspect of it, the free speech aspect of it. The center sources really focusing on the person's character. He's a good dude. While on the left, they don't even call them porn videos, but adult videos with the wife. Now, this is the magic of Ground News, to give you every aspect of the story. Now, I use Ground News every day to see what I'm missing, and some of my most viral stories have come from Ground News and what the media is not telling you. On Ground News, you get coverage details, story summaries and comparisons. You get articles, bias distribution, who owns the source? How factual is it? And my favorite feature, the blind spot, where you get to see if stories are being overreported or underreported by the left or right wing. Now, go to ground.news/Nate for 30% off unlimited access. Ground News is an amazing source to help you get around the media bias, and I hope you'll check them out. And thank you to Ground News for sponsoring today's video. Now, besides their adult videos, the couple also began sharing cooking videos on YouTube, calling it the Sexy Health Channel. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Carmen.
And we are the Sexy Happy Couple. And this is Sexy Healthy Cooking.
Now, when you go to their channel, you see they only have a couple of videos up right now. And most of them, you see the couple and adult film actors trying to cook vegan meals and discussing the experiences in the adult film industry.
How did you transition from that into adult entertainment?
Oh, where to start? So volleyball, went into running, and about 5 years ago started bikini modeling. So I wear itty bitty tiny bikinis. It does cover, but and fans were asking to see less
Bikini.
less, yes.
More you.
So, yeah, exactly. So I went topless, and then I started nude, you know, so it was kind of a transition, you know, topless, nude, and then actually my husband and I are in the lifestyle, so that was my first experience with a girl.
Oh.
Yeah. And then just had all this content that my husband was shooting, and just kind of built my own website.
So now, remember, this guy has been chancellor for about, 17 years? Then the issue of his adult entertainment lifestyle became exposed. And on December 27th, 2023, the Board of Regents unanimously fired 63-year-old Joe Gao, probably due to his online adult activities.
Joining us 36 hours after Dr. Joe Gao was abruptly fired as the Chancellor of UW La Crosse for making and appearing in adult films with his wife online. Gao was on holiday break with his family in Florida when he got an email late Wednesday night telling him that he was fired. And that email also told him his office was off limits to him unless he got an escort from campus police to go in. Developing tonight, the Chancellor of UW La Crosse has been fired, and he says it's because he made adult films with his wife and posted them online. Joe Gao had been leading La Crosse for 17 years, and just last week, the Regents heard about his online films posted on adult pages and YouTube.
Now, the president of the university, Jay Rothman, he recommended to the board that Joe be terminated because of his actions outside the university community. He said that Joe's porn life has harmed the university's reputation. Check it out.
UW President Jay Rothman said of Gao's actions, they cause, quote, reputational harm to the university, adding they were abhorrent.
Now, essentially, the president of the university said that Joe didn't set a good example, and that Joe mistakenly thought that the First Amendment meant that he could say whatever he said, whenever he said it, however he wants to say it. But that was a mistake because of his role at the university.
In a new statement released Friday, UW President Jay Rothman says, quote, Dr. Gao appears to be equating the First Amendment with a free pass to say or do anything he pleases. Dr. Gao's assertion is ridiculous. We are all accountable for what we say and do.
Now, another board member went on record and said that Joe Gao was just reckless and ignored his responsibilities as the chancellor of the University of Wisconsin. It harms students, faculty, and the community because don't forget, he is essentially the face of the campus.
Karen Walsh, also with the UW administration, added what Gao did was alarming and disgusting.
Universities of Wisconsin Regent President Karen Walsh released a statement with Rothman's, saying Gao has shown a reckless disregard for the role he was entrusted with at UW La Crosse. Walsh says the board's outrage is made clear by the unanimous vote to fire him. Walsh says the board is alarmed and disgusted by his actions, which were inconsistent with his role as chancellor.
Now, after being fired, Joe claimed that his termination was because of his involvement in pornography, which is probably true.
There are the classical exceptions to the First Amendment, but having material that explores consensual adult sexuality, I mean, that shouldn't be. We should be able to talk about that on a college campus.
Is it fair to say, though, that you were held to a different standard as the leader of the university, as the face of the university in ways?
I'm not sure.
Now, Joe's argument is simple. His firing violated his First Amendment freedom of speech. Now, he also complained that he wasn't given a chance to defend himself in front of the board, and they also denied him his right to due process.
Said he was never invited to tell his side of the story to the Board of Regents. And as far as how they found out about his adult films, Gao says he doesn't know.
The Regents somehow became aware of this. You know, who knows? Maybe it was one of them that is on Pornhub and saw us.
He told Wisconsin Public Radio today, Joe Gao, that the books and videos that he made were produced as private citizens under his First Amendment right. But even so, he said that he should be protected by the university policy on academic freedom and freedom of expression. And that policy explicitly does state that it protects ideas even if people disagree with them or find them repugnant.
We don't identify ourselves as being affiliated with the university or my role as chancellor. Those things are done as private citizens.
Gao spoke on WTMJ radio this morning, expressing concerns that his rights to free speech were violated by his termination.
Certainly, I'm very concerned about that, and we'll look into my legal options. So I think the board is not upholding, the First Amendment, nor is it upholding its own policy on academic freedom.
Now, whenever you talk about stories like this, it's going to come down to the policy. What was the school's policy? And when you look at the school's policy, Joe may have a point. Check it out.
It does state an employee has the freedom to explore all avenues of scholarship and research, even as a private citizen, on scholarly matters, however offensive or disagreeable those ideas may be to some people. It also says those matters may be offensive unwise, or immoral.
I was doing it as a person, as a citizen, not the chancellor of the university. There are no references to the university in our books. We were very careful to not say we worked in higher ed.
Now, based on a reading of that policy, Joe believes that he has the right to get his job back and is suing the university.
An interim chancellor has been named, and Gao says he might fight the decision.
He says he's looking into litigation, wouldn't directly say if he plans to sue the Board of Regents. President Rothman said Gao will be placed on leave as he transitions from chancellor into a faculty role, but Rothman also filed a complaint with the interim chancellor asking Gao's status to be reviewed.
Joe's argument is simple. Since the school is owned by the state, it's a public institution, and all public institutions are subject to the Constitution, which means they have to give him his constitutional protections of things like due process and the freedom of speech. Now, this would be different if this was a private institution. The school wouldn't have to give Joe his First Amendment protections. Think about it this way. You have the freedom of speech in a public park, but you don't have the freedom of speech in someone's private home, right? Someone can tell you to be quiet if you're in their home and even kick you out. They wouldn't be able to have that authority in a public space. And that's essentially what Joe's arguing. Because the school is owned by the state, then they must afford him these constitutional protections, even if they don't like his speech. Now, I think the school was right to fire Joe. I think the First Amendment protections is not absolute. And the school, which is essentially the government, can restrict employee speech, classified documents, official spokespeople. And there are many, many other examples of where government employees can't just say what they want to say on duty or even off duty. Now, they're going to claim that Joe's speech affected his job and therefore could be restricted. Now, on the other hand, Joe is going to claim that they're trying to restrict his private speech in a private capacity and that they're attempting to remove his First Amendment protections from all speech just because he's employed in this position. So I don't know how the court's going to rule, because I think Joe has an argument if you look at the policy and if you believe that the government must give you First Amendment protections, but all of that must be reasonable. The government can say that, hey, if you're the chancellor of the school, there are certain things that we would expect you not to do because you'd be hurting the business in which the government is involved in, which is educating people and trying to get more people to go to this particular institution. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think Joe's argument that he has the freedom to do these particular acts and still be chancellor of this university? I don't know. This is a hard one for me, but I'm going to side with the university on this one, because part of being the head or the face of the school is reputation. And if you're doing something that's going to negatively affect that reputation, then I believe that you should be let go. But again, that's subjective. Let me know what you feel in the comment section. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.